Good morning, wrestling fans, and welcome to another episode of the Bashmania podcast. I am your host, Justin Bash, and today, three-time U.S. Open champ, three-time world team member, and current New Jersey RTC head coach Reece Humphrey is on the show. We're going to get to know Reece a bit and talk about topics like transitioning from being an athlete to a coach, moving from the West Coast to the East Coast, and we're going to lead into the Bill Farrell this weekend, which, if you're not excited for the Farrell, are you even a wrestling fan? For the potential casual fan, real quick, the Bill Farrell is the first qualifier for the 2020 Olympic trials, and it is just loaded with good talent. Half of this year's NCAA champions, Anthony Cassar, Drew Foster, Makai Lewis, Jason Nolf, and Nick Soriano, and also three runner-ups being Chenzo Joseph, Joey McKenna, and Tyler Berger, are all competing in this tournament. Everybody is vying for the first opportunity to qualify for the Olympic trials, and only the top U.S. competitor, because it is an international tournament, only the top U.S. place winner in each weight qualifies for the Olympic Games. Next month, on December 21st and 22nd, in Texas, there is the Senior Nationals, where the top 5 guys compete. But still, everybody is so excited for the Olympics and to start qualifying and just wrestling in general that this is like the U.S. Open that you normally see in Vegas. I know wrestling can be a confusing sport to follow as a casual fan, so if you have questions, just tweet me at Justin J. Bash on Twitter, and I'm at JBash on Instagram. I'll definitely do my best to help you understand anything you might be missing. And listen, be sure to subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe wherever you listen, Apple, Spotify, Anchor, Google, doesn't matter. Wherever you're listening right now has the ability to subscribe. Just hit that subscribe button. All right, I think we've set the stage for the show, for Reece, for the Farrell. Let's get this thing started.
It's Bashamania! Let me tell you something, brother. He gave us everything he had in him tonight. What you gonna do when Bashamania runs wild? Oh, it's gonna be a good one. And business just picked up here on the podcast. Oh, yeah.
All right, we have the highlight reel, Reece Humphrey. How are you, Reece?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm really pumped for how this show kind of came together because we were talking about it over the weekend, and we both kind of decided like we gotta hype up and discuss the Farrell. It's just absolute madness. So let's get into a little bit of who you are, your background, and we'll kind of go back and forth between everything and everywhere you've been and leading up to your coaching now and the Farrell this weekend. So getting started, your dad was a phenomenal wrestler. Was he born and raised in Indiana?
No, he was. His dad was in the military, so they were kind of all around. But he was born in Florida.
Okay, because then obviously you don't think Indiana and think wrestling, but I think you and very few others, when you think born and raised in Indiana, like you were really good, and I'm assuming that was because your dad kind of got you started. Yeah,
he did, but he had a pretty interesting approach. He really didn't show me the ropes of wrestling. He didn't force me to do it. I was never pushed into it. I came home one day, and I told him I wanted to wrestle mainly because my buddies were wrestling, and his eyes kind of lit up, and I remember it to this day. Like he could show me some stuff, and I'm sure that he had dropped a few hints here and there, and all his friends,
of course,
were wrestlers. But he was in sales at the time, so it's like I wasn't really around it like my kids are with me today, and it's wrestling is his life for sure. So I'm sure he had a lot to do with me choosing wrestling, but it didn't feel like that from my perspective.
And then what led you to you get excited? First of all, when did you know you were good? Like you've been good your whole life. Like when did you realize that?
So I wrestled around with my brother in the living room all the time, and then I was undefeated in my first year. So I was good right away. And so I just kind of knew I had a knack for it. Some people just have the feel, being athletic and just kind of knowing where to go when we're in danger or just kind of the counter moves in the beginning. And I'm watching that with my little boy right now. He just kind of knows where to go.
I was cracking up at your post last week.
Yeah,
on the mats.
He's funny, dude. yeah, we're having a lot of fun with it. And I kind of tried to take that same approach, and wrestling's so hard. You have to do it for yourself.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to push him into it, but we tried basketball, we tried soccer, we tried all these different sports, and he didn't really like them. So I was like, all right, I'm going to show him the one that's really fun.
Right.
And he loves it, man. He fights me like if I ask him to go to the movies or go to do fun stuff, wrestling, no fight. He wants to go.
That's awesome. That's a blessing too, to be able to. I can't wait to start having kids and seeing like which of my passions align with them. I mean, wrestling's obviously your biggest passion, so to be able to share that's definitely pretty cool. So you grew up in Indiana, knowing you're good. What led you to Ohio State?
Well, my dad was actually taking a coaching position there. And he was only there for 1 year when Russ Hellickson was there, and then Tom Ryan came in, and they all got fired. So,
Wow.
so that, I don't know. It was just it was time for a change at Ohio State, and it was a really good thing for me too. But that was one of the reasons why I was really into training partners, Jay Jaggers, TJ Enright. Those guys were going to be right around my weight, but Ohio State was trash when I first got there. I think they were 11th when I signed.
Wow.
And then we were 50th my true freshman year, and then we took off from there when Tom took over.
Yeah.
And Lou Zeller and those guys kind of changed the program. But it was a lot of Russ Hellickson's recruits with me and Jay and Lance Palmer, and then Tom brought over Mike Basillo, and that was kind of the four guys that were leading the way, with Colt Sponseller was in there too. So it was a lot of Russ's recruits, but yeah, I chose Ohio State because of the partners, and I knew that if we had some good scraps right around my weight, I was going to be good individually, and then it just worked out that the team got really good too.
And when you graduated, there was no Ohio RTC yet, right? Didn't you wrestle out of the NYAC?
No, I was NYAC, but I was also Ohio RTC. It started with Tommy Rollins and Joe Heskett were the two guys, and they were training their freestyle all the time, and I think they were both 5th in the world, so it was a really good start. But I don't think really RTCs were a thing back then. We might have been one of the first ones. And then there was just kind of like 3 or 4. It was Ohio State, Iowa, maybe Penn State. I'm not even sure if they had one, but it was just kind of the big schools that were doing it, and we were the best. We had 5 on the team out of 7 weight classes back then. So it popped off there too.
And then it seems like if you look at your entire career, and if your dad's in the military moving around, it kind of makes sense, but I'm curious, like, you know, you go from Indiana to Ohio, and then transitioning post your career, I believe your first coaching position was at Titan Mercury, right, in California?
Yeah, it was.
So you go from what led you to Titan Mercury?
I think we were at the NCAAs, and my buddy Deron Wynn, who's in the UFC now, you guys know him.
Yep.
He wrestled for a long time. We were just talking. He's good friends with those Titan Mercury guys, and it just like kind of got brought up in passing. I think we were just like at a social event, and then it just like randomly turned into a real thing like that night, and ended up being a pretty good position for me to start coaching. And I think I still had a couple years left in me on the mats, but it's a lot of work to maybe be on the team. And I think that my prime had kind of passed, and I didn't think I could medal at the Worlds at that point. And so I took the job, and coaching seems to be where I really fit in. So I'm having a blast with it all.
Yeah, and it seems like such a natural fit for you. And before I kind of ask you why you transitioned from Titan to the NJRTC, I'm curious what level of self-awareness is it to say, all right, whether I can medal or not, maybe it's time for this coaching. What leads you to make those decisions and feel confident about it? Or is there a bit of like afterwards, like I know some guys they always wonder a little bit, should I go back or should I do this? Like, how do you know? And does it feel confident when you make these decisions, whether it's going to Titan, going to the NJRTC? What is that making that decision like?
Yeah. So for me, it's like, you're never 100% confident. You know, I took all the variables, and I thought it was more positive than the wrestling route. And it's hard to quit, to hang the shoes up. It's really hard to make that decision. I still battle with it today. I'm on the mat every single day.
I'm sure you can make 61 still.
Yeah, no, that's not happening. but I always think about it still to this day. Like, if you think you can lace them up and try, I would suggest to go that route. But for me, it's like coaching is the same kind of competitive nature. same kind of challenge. And I would rather coach an Olympic champ than be an Olympic champ. And I don't think that's true for a lot of people, but for me, it feels the same.
Yeah.
I'm in there grinding, sweating, bleeding with these guys. And just because they get their hand raised, I feel that from the corner because we put in the same work. And I think that's why we're having a lot of success. But you're never really confident in the choices. And I took the interview to Jersey and to the NJRTC, and it felt, as confident as I could be. But it's still hard to leave what you left behind. I had my brother coaching out there in California with me. It was California. I loved it.
Yeah.
But once I took the visit here, it was kind of a no-brainer. The coaches at Princeton, the coaches at Rutgers are all awesome. I could see their enthusiasm and what they want to do, and I could see their vision of where the program is headed. And once we got here, the RTC kind of blew up, and both of those programs are blowing up. So it was, I think it was a good choice for me.
And it almost sounds like the way you're describing it, it sounds like an athlete taking a college visit, like trying to make that right fit, seeing what people believe in, seeing what the vision is. Was it similar to that? Like taking a visit, like it's interesting. I think they use that verbiage, like taking a visit. Was that the feel for it? Like kind of like testing them almost to see? Yeah,
it's the same kind of process. And for these kids that go to 5 different schools and they're all awesome, these blue chip guys that are going to the 5 best schools or however you want to look at it, you're never going to be super confident. But once you make the decision, be all in. And I think that's how these guys are going to do better and reach their full potential. And I kind of went that same route. It felt like a recruiting visit. For me, you could call it an interview, but it was the same kind of deal as a recruiting visit. I took the visit. I looked at both campuses. I saw what the positives and negatives were, and it was a no-brainer for me to come here.
And it's funny, too, because you're seeing the transfers at all levels, even like on the RTC level, like seeing Ironman to Iowa now, Snyder to NLWC. Like you're seeing so much of people, I think, trying to get better and having more opportunities. Have you noticed a massive difference in that from when you were competing, especially like in college and graduating college to now? Have you noticed that there's that growth there of having different opportunities, whether it's coaching, whether it's competing, whatever level you're at? It seems like there's so many opportunities now that didn't exist before.
Yeah, like I said, the RTCs, it was just Ohio, Iowa, and then a couple more in the beginning, and the funding was not what it is today. And it's just that wrestling is blowing up. It happened on the college scene maybe 5-10 years ago, and now it's happening on the freestyle scene. And there's more money in it. People are getting more followers, more sponsors. It's just wrestling is more popular right now, and people are understanding the value of keeping these guys in the room. They're superstars that you only get 4 coaches, but you could have as many RTC guys as you want. And the trickle down from the RTC senior level guys to the college, it's unmatched. It's almost an unfair advantage, but these guys are doing their own thing. And in our room, we don't even work out with the college guys. Sometimes they come into my practice, but we're a separate entity. But seeing it, having these guys pass each other in the hall and seeing what being all in and being a professional athlete and what it takes, that trickles down. And then the technique, when they are in the room together, sharing knowledge and trying to figure out this sport, it's beneficial for both the senior guys and the college guys, and you really can't match it.
And it's interesting, too, because it's been interesting watching where as the sport seems to evolve, it's interesting watching everybody in the sport evolve. Like watching you evolve from an athlete to a coach. I mean, I think Don Bashada has said it like 50 times over the last year when everybody's mentioning, like, basically what's in the water in Jersey. And Don's like, Reece Humphrey's in the water in Jersey. Right. So it's so evident that you've like you have that passion where you said you'd rather coach an Olympic champion than be an Olympic champion. What was that transition like from athlete to coach? Was it a natural progression? I mean, it's always you had such a passion for being the athlete. Now you have such a passion for being the coach. What was that transition of passion like?
I mean, it's just hard work, and it's just being all in the scenario that I'm in. You know, you play the cards that you're dealt, and I can't think about being an athlete when I'm a coach. So I'm all in on this process, and I'm trying to be as passionate and as motivated as I can, trying to find different ways to push my guys and trying to do better than I was yesterday. And being an athlete is still really fresh to me. So I kind of feel what these guys are feeling,
Yep.
and I can read the room well because it's not that long ago that I was in that grind.
Right.
And some days I needed a day off, or some days I needed it to be lighter, and sometimes my coach wouldn't notice that. And Roselli, Tom Ryan, those guys were phenomenal. But it's like I'm trying to evaluate all the different scenarios for my guys. Graf is different than Downey, and Bryce Meredith's a different cat than Nate Jackson. It's like everybody's on these different walks of life, but I'm just trying to do the best I can for each individual guy. And I really only have 8 guys right now. And so it's pretty easy to know everybody and what they are, where they are with their weight and how they feel. And so I think that's a good part of what we're doing, paying attention to these guys and trying to evaluate each practice separately and do the best we can.
And that's kind of where I was headed next, is that, New Jersey and the NJRTC has had such a good year, having, both Downey and Graf on the world team last year. And it's kind of like, I don't want to say it happened overnight, but you made such an impact. Is that what you would attribute to that impact? Trying to feel the athlete out and knowing what they need and trying to bring a different element of coaching that we maybe haven't seen as much before?
Yeah, I think it's a big part of it, just knowing your athlete and seeing what makes them tick, because at this level, it's hard to change habits.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways you can do things, but I just think positionally, there's some things that you can't get away from, having your head in the way, fighting for inside ties, shooting with your head up, back straight, hips in. All those things are pretty fundamental that a lot of guys miss.
Yeah.
And so like our process, and I'm buddies with my guys, but they also respect me enough to listen as best as they can, but it's still frustrating for them. So we kind of have this process where they fight me, and then they think about it in the car, and they call me like, man, that actually will work. And then they try it, and then it doesn't work. And then they go back and they try it again. But these guys are really bought into the process, and they know it's frustrating, and they know I'm really trying to help them, though. And now that we're having success, it's like it's becoming a lot easier. Everybody's trying to listen and trying to figure it out, because the stuff that we're teaching is, I think it's pretty basic, but it's working. So, yeah, go ahead.
So what would, and now when you're having that level of success with your athletes, are you noticing that guys like Meredith are watching that from the outside and saying, let me come here? Or are you like actively recruiting guys to grow the NJRTC from an athlete standpoint?
With Bryce was coming for like a week every other month. And I thought that was great for us.
Yeah.
And it was a really good situation for us. And then he kind of made the decision on his own that he wanted to be here full time, and which I thought was a really savage move, because it's hard for a 20-year-old, 24-year-old to move across the country, leave your family, leave your friends. And in the beginning, we were trying to recruit guys, and it seemed like everybody loved the vision and loved what was going on here, but a lot of guys couldn't really make that move.
Yeah.
So I commend Bryce for making that jump, leaving his friends, leaving his family to chase this dream of being world Olympic champion. And it's guys like that I want on my team. I want athletes. I want guys who are really tough. We can fix the technique. You can't really teach toughness, and you can't teach will. And so those are the guys that I'm looking for, these guys who will listen, who are smart enough to listen. And the guys that we have are all very tough. Graf and Downey, everybody says, like, it happened overnight, but these guys were close for a long time. They just needed a couple little positional things and some good guidance and some coaches that believed in them. For Downey to be consistent and come to practice every day, you got to believe in what you're doing. And these guys all believe in the NJRTC and what Coach Ayers and Coach Goodale are doing over at Princeton and Rutgers. And they show up every day with a really good mindset, and that's why we're gaining on everybody.
And and again, you're right. It's not overnight. It's those small little changes of people who are close, especially when we get to a place where USA Wrestling is so deep right now. And we're seeing that with the Farrell. And we kind of saw that, last year everybody saw the impact Jersey had. 4 out of 10, I think, national champs were from Jersey. 4 guys were on the world team, 2 that are training in Jersey, and then Green and Burroughs from Jersey. And it was such an impactful year. What do you see happening this year as guys continue to level up? You have now guys like Downey and Graf who were on the world team and now know what they need to do to get back there. You have guys like Ashnault and other guys who are going to be graduating and staying in the region. What do you think that impact is going to be this year after that kind of first year?
It's going to help a lot. It's showing guys. It's like when you win an NCAA title, you have a freshman that wins an NCAA title. It makes the recruiting process so much easier because you can get it done right away. That's what we have right now. If you come and train at the NJRTC, you could be on the world team. We had Downey, who couldn't find a home. I think he was enrolled in every single school in Iowa, Iowa State, Iowa Central, and maybe one more. And then now he's here, he's home, he's consistent. You can make those changes, and you can go from being a guy who was 5th to 8th every year to a Downey who was undefeated domestically in 2019. He didn't lose a match in an Olympic weight. It's a pretty good spot to be. Nate Jackson was a 2-time All-American, and now he just won the Medved. And I promise you he's going to do very, very well this weekend at the Bill Farrell. Bryce Meredith, Matt Kolodzik is with us now. These guys are going to show up this weekend. And, it's good for recruiting, and I think it's going to keep these Jersey boys in Jersey. Everybody that wins a state title, we're a little ignorant, and we think we're going to be Olympic champions like right away.
Right.
So having that trail to do that, at least laying it out, it helps the recruiting process a lot. And Ayers is a special guy because he separates us, and he wants us to do freestyle all the time. And we are a separate entity, and we don't. A lot of these RTCs are kind of attached to help the college program.
Yeah.
We're not that. We are going to help the college program by being the best freestyle wrestlers we can. And if we win a world and Olympic title, that's going to help him.
Yeah.
And he goes to work fundraising. Goodale, they fundraise like crazy, and the budget is really tight for us. But they see the value in us doing our own thing. And I mean, I think that's how it's going to happen. I think we're going to keep all these really good Jersey kids very soon, if not like right now.
So speaking of the Bill Farrell, it is this weekend, and you've been in that position where the road to the world team, whether it's a world team or Olympic team, you've been on that journey. You've made 3 world teams. How hyped are you for the Bill Farrell, knowing that guys can start qualifying now for the Olympic trials? And I'm honestly surprised that so many guys are going to the Bill Farrell. I didn't think it was going to be this stacked, because I assumed that the senior nationals in December, where the top 5 guys qualify, I assumed people were going to kind of wait and just go there knowing, okay, Bill Farrell's only, the top guy. How hyped are you for that? And what also do you think is the reason so many guys are going to the Farrell?
Yeah, it's the Olympic year. Everybody's pumped up. All these guys take an Olympic red shirt. That's kind of a new thing. There's like maybe 20 guys sitting out of the college season, so they have to compete at the Bill Farrell. All the senior guys, it's easy to get to. It's hard to find tournaments that are at our caliber when guys are this good. And if you don't have to travel overseas for that, I think it's just a good opportunity to do that. But I'm excited for my guys. We don't get to compete that often, and we don't get to showcase our skills. It's like we don't really know how much better we're getting because we have the same battles in the room. Everybody's elevating, and this is going to be a chance to showcase that. And I'm excited. I'm excited as a coach. I'm excited for my guys, and I'm excited as a fan to be able to watch the best of the best, because the Bill Farrell is essentially the U.S. Open right now.
Yeah.
And it's almost more stressful because only one guy goes. And with this kind of turnout, it's like I think we should add qualifiers.
Yeah.
But it's the U.S. Open. Everybody's going outside of the guys that are on the world team or qualified because they were on the world team. So it's like everybody's there. And so it's an awesome experience. It's going to be a great tournament. I'm excited to see how it all turns out. And let's go.
Yeah, I'm pumped, dude. I wasn't gonna go, and then as soon as I started seeing the entries, I'm like, all right, I gotta go. So, in keeping on that same topic of the Farrell and people going, what is your expectation for the Farrell for this season? Is there? I know so many times that I've heard coaches are satisfied by effort. Do you have an expectation of effort, or do you have an expectation of like, okay, the NJRTC should have X number of Olympic team members, or like, what is your expectation for both the Farrell and then for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to create real expectations. My expectations have been high for every single tournament we've gone to, and we've been kind of in a crazy position where every tournament we've been to the whole time we've been here, we've been a program for a year and a half. And we went to the Schultz, which was kind of soft, and we exceeded my expectations. We had a champ, a finalist, 2 medalists, went to the Open. All 4 of our guys placed. And then we went to the trials, Graf, Downey, Ashnault in the top 3, and Nate Jackson getting top 5. These guys keep exceeding my expectations when I've set the bar very high for them, because I think we're doing a lot of really good things and these guys are bought in. And so my expectations are high again. The competition is even tougher. We went to the World Championships, and somehow the Bill Farrell is going to be just as tough. And then leading into the Olympic qualifier, Olympic trials, it just continues to get tougher. And so we continue to be the underdogs somehow, but we're working like we're the underdogs, and I'm excited to see these guys compete.
And it's got to be cool, too, that you guys, everybody trained at NJRTC doesn't have to travel for this. It's in your backyard. You think that helps you, too?
Yeah. I do think it helps us. We're an hour. We're going to drive over there Friday and stay at the NYAC. It's about as easy as it can get. We're going to be at the venue. It's an hour to get there. We drive there, park. It's going to be super easy, super convenient. Our guys get to make weight at home and then maybe do one workout at the NYAC. It's very convenient. No flying, no travel. Our guys are going to feel exactly how they feel in the practice room. And what I see in the room is a really good thing.
For sure, man. And listen, for those people who want to get involved and help and contribute to the NJRTC's success, what can they do?
We need help at the NJRTC. If you guys have any spare change, you can donate at NJRTC.com. If you want to check out some of the different things that we're getting into, go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/highlighthumphrey. We've vlogged every competition this past season, and I just want to find a way to get it to more people, because I think it's really cool what we're doing. We have a World Championships vlog coming out very soon. We vlogged our trip to the Swiss Alps on our active recovery day while we were out there. And then we did the Medved, the Minsk, Belarus vlog. So we've been capturing a lot of this stuff that's been going on. If you want to see what we've been doing all year, you can check that out. You can follow me at Highlight Humphrey. You can follow the NJRTC at NJRTC on Instagram. So thanks for having me out, man.
Of course. And I'll link everything up in the description for any of you guys who want to help out the NJRTC. Reece is doing so many great things over there, and he could use all the help he can get. So, all right, Reece, I will see you this weekend. Everybody else, thank you so much for listening. Be sure to subscribe, leave the podcast a review, send me some feedback, let me know who you want to have on the show, and we will be back soon with another episode. See ya.
And the beat goes on, goes on, goes on.